This week we'll be looking at different types of sentences. Now, the goal with looking at different types of sentences is really to be able to add some sentence variety to your writing, but IXL will ask you to identify different types of sentences. So this concept actually builds upon the phrases and clauses that we were working with in the last couple of weeks. And there are 4 types of sentences: simple, complex, compound, and compound complex. So we were working with independent clauses and dependent or subordinate clauses in the last couple of weeks. So that's where your knowledge of those types of clauses come into play this week. A simple sentence is built of one independent clause, and that's it. Whereas a compound sentence has 2 or more independent clauses, but no subordinate or dependent clauses. Next, we have a complex sentence, which has 1 independent clause and 1 or more subordinate or dependent clauses. And last but not least is the longest, strongest sentence of them all, the compound complex sentence, where you have 2 or more independent clauses and 1 or more subordinate or dependent clauses. Now remember, independent clauses, they can stand alone. It's a complete sentence by itself, whereas a subordinate or a dependent clause cannot stand alone. It's not a complete sentence by itself. So you have to have an independent clause to go along with a subordinate or dependent clause. So once again, the simple sentence has only 1 independent clause and no subordinate clauses, and it is a simple sentence. The runner won the race easily. So you have the runner as a subject, won is your verb, and the race is a direct object. So it's a complete thought by itself. The next type of sentence is a compound sentence, and this is the one that has 2 or more independent clauses, which means 2 parts of the sentence that could stand alone by themselves. They're usually connected by a conjunction. And if you remember the term fanboys from elementary school, a conjunction is things like for, and, neither, but, or, yet, or so. And they connect the 2 independent clauses, 2 parts of the sentence that could stand alone. The runner trained for many months, that's a complete sentence. It's connected by a conjunction, so, and then he won the race easily is also a complete sentence. So you can see that we've got a subject and a verb on this side and a subject and a verb on this side. Those are 2 complete sentences or independent clauses. Next up, we have the complex sentence, and this one has 1 independent clause, so 1 complete sentence, and 1 or more subordinate or dependent clauses, which means something that cannot stand by itself. The runner, comma, who had trained for many months, comma, won the race easily. So you can see that we have the runner is our subject, and the verb, the action, is that he won, and the race is still our direct object. But we also, in the middle, have this subordinate or dependent clause that cannot stand by itself. It is not a complete sentence. Who had trained for many months? It could be a question, who had trained for many months, but alone as a sentence, it is incomplete. The last type of sentence is the compound complex sentence, and that has 2 independent clauses and 1 or more subordinate clauses or dependent clauses. So that means it has 2 parts of the sentence that could be complete standalone sentences and 1 or more dependent clauses, subordinate clauses that cannot stand by themselves. These sentences, I have to admit, they tend to be longer than the rest of the sentences. So we've got the runner won the race easily, but she did not attain a personal best. So we could say the runner won the race easily. We could say she did not attain a personal best. Those are connected by the word but here, a conjunction, fanboy. And then we also have a dependent clause here, or a subordinate clause that cannot stand alone, who had trained for many months. All right, so let's try this for practice. She smiled sweetly, comma, and he grinned shyly. We have two independent clauses. She smiled sweetly could be a complete sentence. He grinned shyly could be a complete sentence. So we have a compound sentence.